The living room was ordinary. It was the kind of room you would find in any typical home, with nothing out of the ordinary to catch your eye. Beige walls, a brown sofa, a flickering television. Nothing seemed strange. The room was a sanctuary of normalcy, a place where the family could unwind after a long day. It was a place for relaxation, for family time. They would gather here sharing stories and creating memories. But that was before the shadows came, before the whispers started. The room that once felt like a safe haven began to change. The family felt safe here. They watched movies together, their laughter filling the room. The sofa was their favorite spot, a place where they could all snuggle up and enjoy each other's company. They laughed and played games. The living room was filled with joy and happiness, a stark contrast to what it would soon become. They never expected it to become a place of terror, a place of fear. The once warm and inviting room turned cold and unwelcoming. The shadows grew longer and the whispers grew louder, transforming their sanctuary into a nightmare. One night, something changed. The air felt different, heavy with an unspoken tension. The house, usually filled with warmth and laughter, seemed to hold its breath. A shadow moved across the wall, slithering like a serpent. It was dark, darker than the night itself, and it seemed to have a life of its own. It wasn't cast by anything. The family stopped talking, their voices caught in their throats. They watched it crawl, their eyes wide with a mix of curiosity and dread. Their hearts pounded in their chests, each beat echoing like a drum in the silence. The room felt colder, as if the shadow was drawing the warmth out of the air. The shadow danced and twisted, its movements almost hypnotic. It was as if it was performing a macabre ballet, a dance of darkness that held them captive. It took on strange shapes, morphing into forms that defied logic. It was unnatural, unexplained, a manifestation of something beyond their understanding.
Sound creaking. Sound, distant footsteps. Sound, growls. Sound, sudden loud noise. Fear crept into their minds, a cold creeping dread that settled in their bones. Something was wrong, terribly wrong, and they could feel it in the very core of their being.
Then came the noises, whispers in the darkness, moans from the corners. The family huddled together. They couldn't see anyone, but the whispers were clear. Someone or something was there. The whispers turned into growls, the growls into screams. The family was trapped. They were alone with something evil. Section 4. Cold spots and flickering lights. Cold spots appeared in the room, sending shivers down the spines of anyone who dared to enter. The temperature dropped suddenly, as if an unseen force had sucked the warmth out of the air. The atmosphere grew heavy, almost suffocating, making it hard to breathe. The lights flickered ominously, casting eerie shadows that danced on the walls, creating an unsettling ambiance. The television turned on and off without any human intervention, as if controlled by an invisible hand. Channels changed by themselves, flipping through static and strange broadcasts that made no sense. It was as if the very electronics were possessed, adding to the growing sense of dread. The family was under attack by an unseen, malevolent force. They tried to run, but it felt as though the room itself was conspiring against them. Panic set in as they realized they were not alone. But their feet felt like lead, as if they were being held down by invisible chains. Every step was a struggle, their movements slow and labored. They were frozen in place, paralyzed by an overwhelming sense of fear. It was as if time itself had stopped, trapping them in a moment of pure terror. Their eyes darted around the room, searching for any sign of the malevolent presence. Every creak and groan of the house seemed amplified, each sound a potential threat. They searched for the source of the horror, desperate to find an explanation for the terrifying events unfolding around them. But the more they looked, the more elusive the answer became, leaving them trapped in a nightmare with no end in sight. Section 5. A vase moves. A vase flew across the room. Crashing sound. It shattered against the wall. The family screamed. They couldn't take it anymore. The living room was no longer a sanctuary. It was a nightmare.
Whispering, frantic whispers. Something evil had taken root in their home.
Distant moan, frantic whispers.